So before we actually start the video, I just want to bring up that yes, I did see the leaked trailer for the the failed CW Powerpuff Girls show, and yes, it was terrible. I just had nothing to say about the matter. Like, it was just genuine garbage, and it looked like a bad SNL skit. And my friend Jason actually said something funny in that, it was like, he did one better. It was like, imagine if the Asylum tried to do SNL. Like, that's how bad it was, like, that trailer was. And I'm like, wow, we dodged an enormous bullet. And I'm like, I can't believe that was a thing. So, yeah. So, I know I've gotten some messages like, have you seen it? Have you seen it? Yeah. We're also not going to talk about it anymore because that's not the point of this video. Yeah, so that's, like, I did want to acknowledge that, yes, I saw the fucking thing. It's garbage. Let's keep going. So, let's actually talk about, like, what this video is about, which is... this is another cartoon adaptation of a classic comic book event. You can see we're talking about Armageddon, which is not a great event. Let's be real. That it is. It's a pretty garbage event. Let's get that out of the way right now. It's a pretty this is known as one of the most god awful events out there. Like, let's not even beat around the bush. Okay. So Armageddon, for those who don't know, it came out in 2001, and it was supposed to be about this character called the Wave Rider traveling to the past to find out which hero killed the world and became this new villain called the Monarch. It's more famously known that it got leaked, that it was supposed to be Captain Atom was the Monarch, and then they was like, no, it's Hawk, it's totally Hawk, and it didn't work, and all of it sucked. So... yeah, that was the big thing it was known for. So let's actually talk about this story. So we start off in the far future, and in this future, the world is ruled by a character called Monarch, and he was a hero who usurped and killed all the other superheroes, like a majority of the other superheroes. There were some, this is kind of like in this version, it's essentially like a Injustice kind of thing, where some of the heroes actually switched sides and allied themselves with the Monarch in order to bring about what they considered global peace. And that was the whole plan, was that they were like, yeah, we're going to side with him. And there were other villains who were like, yeah, we don't want to die in this new regime, so we're just going to, work with him. We're going to work with the Monarch. And it became an absolute dictatorship under the Monarch's rule. However, we do know that there is, rebel cells out there. There are other rebel groups who are out there trying to... fight against the Monarch's grip on the world. Among those is a very old Mason Pines. Yeah, I know someone's going to be a smartass in the comments, so I'll beat you to it in a minute. So Mason has been working this version of Mason has been working non-stop with Blendon Blandon because Monarch has essentially decimated anything capable of time travel, because Monarch's aware, if anyone can go back in time, then I'm fucked. If anyone can travel back in time and figure out who I am so screwed. So that's the idea, is that what was I saying? That's the idea, is that Monarch scrubbed all knowledge of himself and has basically been outlawing time travel or any kind of magic that is capable of that. But Mason's been working with Blendon in order to use the time tape in order to travel back in time 30 years in the past, where the Monarch was still among the heroes. And even Mason's at this point is like, I don't know who it is. Monarch, when he took power, Monarch basically used technology that was so advanced. He scrubbed everyone's knowledge of who he was. Everyone's even those who were in that time frame, who probably knew him, even Mason goes I should know who he is, but I don't. Like, this guy, that shows the kind of technology that we're working with, because the Monarch has essentially using technology and magic from like Cybertron and Muni and all these other things, and making weapons and objects that he can use to better rule the world. So from there, he basically repairs the time tape just in time to see the Monarch and his forces show up at his little rebel compound, and Blendon gets killed, but Mason uses the time tape to travel back to the proper time. And the first thing he does is like, okay, there's only really one group of people I can really trust, and they're all dead in my timeline, but I better go see them now. This might cause a paradox, but like, they're the only people I can trust at this moment, because there's not a single goddamn superhero I can really like turn to and be like, because one of them could be the Monarch. Like, it could even be a female superhero, and the Monarch's just been bullshitting us. So I'm gonna go talk to, well, me. So he finds Mason, and he's like, okay, don't freak out, dude. He like shows him the birthmark, and he's like, so let's talk. So Dipper and his older self talk for a minute, and Mason tells him about his younger self, about the Monarch and everything else, and he's like, alright, so what we do know about the Monarch is that there's going to be a massive event in 2 weeks. I got here a little early, just so I can find him, but in 2 weeks, there's going to be a massive event, and this is going to, we don't know what it is, but it's going to be something life-altering for the planet, and this is going to give the Monarch his first steps into becoming who he is. And they're like, well, do you have any suspects? Like, what heroes do you think could have become the Monarch? And like Mason explains to his younger self, well, there's a few people. Like, one person I thought of was Danny Phantom. Like, Danny was a possible one, because we do he was already godlike to begin with, and there was a lot of talk of like he fought an alternate version of himself in a timeline that no longer exists. Like, Blendon explained to Mason, is like, look at Danny should be your first suspect, because the dude already had an evil timeline that got erased. So he already had an evil version of himself. So there's a possibility, he could be that too. So, and they're like, so how are we going to tell, like, if we've got a 2-week opening, if we've got like a 2-week opening to like talk about, like, to find out who this Monarch guy is, how are we supposed to know if you don't have any knowledge of him? And he's like, well, Ford does have those little mind reading crystals, right? Maybe we can figure out, like, piece together who that could be. So Dipper reveals himself, and he has this moment where he just starts like the future version of him breaks down and cries when he sees his family all there, because yeah, they were all rebels, and Monarch had them all killed. He's the only survivor, and he's just like, I wanted so badly to save you all, and now's my chance. And he's like, do you guys even understand why I'm trying so hard to do this? It's because, have you seen our other timelines? I have, like, when I was working with Blendon, I saw other variants of me. I can guarantee you, I'm the best. Because there are others where there are variants of me who are evil to the core. Like, there are some who just fell to darkness, to chaos, to fucking the dark side. I'm a villain 90% of the goddamn time. And the one of the few timelines where I am, where I'm good, I get that ripped away from me. I get my wife killed, I get my family killed, and Wendy goes, excuse you? We have a what? How many? He's like, not the point. The point being is that we had a good life that I didn't destroy, that a version of me didn't destroy, and this bastard took it away from us. So you guys have got to help me find the Monarch, find and take him down. But they're like, so you want us to kill someone with very little evidence? And they're like, well, we're going to figure it out first. We got to capture him first. And our first suspect is Danny. So they go to Amity Park, and with Ford's help, they actually managed to build like a ghost weapon that is able to detain Danny. And they're like, okay, so listen, Danny, there's a possibility you're an evil version of yourself in the future. And he's like, yeah, I'm not doing this again. So they have to fight Danny, but guess who shows up out of the sky a giant, massive ship, and out comes the Monarch. And the Monarch proclaims, I am from your future, and now I shall conquer the past, because one person decided to fuck around. Well, now you all get to find out. So, the Monarch unleashes everyone, he unleashes robot armies, he unleashes his soldiers from the future who work together with him. He works with all of them, and then Mason has a click in his head. He's like, oh my god, this is the event that makes the Monarch. Holy shit. I caused this. And they're like, you motherfucker. Even Ford has this moment of oh my god, how did we not realize? We literally made the moment we create the Monarch. We're part of this timeline. And they're like, oh shit. But they also notice, hey, Danny's going to fight the Monarch, and so are other heroes immediately jump into the fray to fight Monarch. And in that battle, El Tigre is among them, Manny is among them, and he actually gets the blow that knocks the mask off. And the mask comes off, and he's like, well, I was gonna tell you anyway. Hi, me, how are we? Yeah, the Monarch is El Tigre, is a future version of El Tigre, and when everyone finds out, there's a resounding, oh, this makes so much sense. This should have been our first guy. It should have been the first guy we suspected is Manny. So El Tigre is the Monarch in the future. Basically, the Monarch, after this event, the Monarch is basically creating himself. He's like, yeah, I'm going to, there's going to be a battle here, and you're going to I'm basically creating you. Because, here's the thing, this battle is going to be bad. I am going to kill so many heroes in this moment. I am going to kill so many heroes at this point, and you're going to lose your father. And he's like, I'm going to kill my own father. And he's like, you'll get over it, trust me. But what you are going to find is all the technology left behind from this battle, and you are going to become me. And he's like, so what if I don't become you? And he's like, if you really believe that, Manny, I would cease to exist. Now, wouldn't I? Yeah, he's using the if you really wanted to get rid of me, and you really thought that if you really thought that, Manny, if you really thought that, buddy, I would cease to exist. At any point. And they're like, well, oh shit, he's right. So, Manny has made him, Manny is the Monarch, and they're like, well, do we kill him? Do we kill Manny? All the heroes are now gathered up, and they're like, do we kill Danny in order to prevent the Monarch, Manny, from existing? And Rodolfo's like, you're not killing my son. That's off the table. And a lot of people are like, well, we saw what this guy's capable of in the future. Maybe we do? Because, Monarch has Manny. He's trying, because he already knows, yeah, they're going to try to kill me, so they're going to try to kill you. Anything that happens now, it's all written in stone. I am perpetual. You're gonna be me no matter what. So you might as well get used to it. And Manny's just like, okay, so tell me, future me, did you see this coming? And just slashes him across the stomach, cutting into his armor thanks to the magic of his blades. And he just guts Monarch, and he's just like, what the fuck? You weren't supposed to do this. You were supposed to join up and be ready to be me. And he's like, that's the thing. I may not be Manny explains, I may not be the smartest motherfucker in the world, but I do know this, is that time travel's bullshit. So, you miscalculated. If anything, if Avengers Endgame has taught me, is that the moment you step back into this timeline, it became, that timeline became no longer null and void. So I get to make my own destiny. And you know what my destiny is? Fucking you up. So Manny fights his future self, and the two get into this bloody fight, until eventually Manny does take down the Monarch, and he's like, I just unalived myself in the most metaphysical way. Wow. So by the end of it, future Mason is like, well, I don't know what my timeline is going to be like, so, oh, I seem to be fading away because that Monarch timeline no longer exists. So maybe when I reform, I'll have a better life. And sure enough, when we go back to the future, yeah, Mason's now has a family, he's happy, and the heroes are like seen as like the new gods of the world. That's the real and only big change. So there you go, guys. That is Armageddon. Yeah, you guys, I hope you all enjoyed this. Just comment below what you guys thought of it. Other than that, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.